Tracy here with the Oasis for Natural Healing. Most of my patients are just so tired of not feeling their best. Is that you? Do you feel like, you're just not feeling your best and you're just tired of it? Have you tried like all the different things? Like I hear so many times people go to different doctors, they go and get different testing done, and nothing comes up. Everything is normal. And they're just tired of it. Or they're just tired of like the only solution is oh, take another pill. And they still don't know why they have their symptoms. And they're just not getting better. Or there's a lot of back and forth. Like they feel better for a little bit, and then all of a sudden they feel worse. Or they feel better for a little bit and then they don't feel good again. And sometimes, and the supplements will work or the medications will work for a short period of time, but then they have to add or increase the dosage or add on more things or whatever, fill in the blank. What if I told you that things are being missed? What if I told you that there's hidden causes and not all traditional testing will find these causes? And that's what's keeping you stuck. And there's a couple hidden causes that actually are often looked by Western medicine practices, making you a difficult case, making you, oh, well, we don't know why you have your symptoms. Does that sound familiar, guys? Like, well, we don't know why you have your symptoms, but here, have a pill. Or like one of my consultations that I just had earlier said, well, it's probably your anxiety. Let's increase your anxiety and your depression medication. And this poor person actually came to me feeling like they were not being heard, feeling like, they've gone to all the doctors and, they've done all the tests, they've colonoscopies, EGDs, all these things, and everything is coming back normal. But yet they're still having a lot of gut issues. And the doctors are saying it's your anxiety and like, how frustrating that you're literally having physical symptoms and you're literally having all these issues, and yet you're being told that it's all in your head. And then you start believing it. Well, maybe it is all in my head because they can't find anything wrong with me. Does that ever happen? Does that sound like you or somebody that you know, that you literally think that it's all in your head? Now, don't get me wrong, emotions can play a part in our healing process and affect our health. But I can guarantee you that's not the only thing. And I can also guarantee you that there's more to it than that. And there's a lot of other things that are missed by Western medicine practices. And we're going to go over some of these causes. Okay. Some of these causes are heavy metals and heavy chemicals. One of them is aluminum. Aluminum is seen in your aluminum foil that you use to cook with. Aluminum is also seen in antiperspirants. Aluminum is also found in things like Tums and acids. It's also seen in vaccines. Now, what does aluminum cause? A lot of neurotoxicity. So think neurological disorders, brain, anxiety, depression. It can cause like irrational thinking, can cause nerve pain, joint inflammation, just to name a few. Okay, so that's where one of the things is. So aluminum is one thing. Let's talk about chlorine, for instance. Chlorine is something else, and there's tons of them. I could have a book on where all these toxins are coming from and things like that, but let's talk about chlorine. Chlorine is found in tap water, is most common. Okay, so, or pools, swimming pools, things like that. The chlorine actually looks very similar to iodine to the body, and a lot of us are iodine deficient. Chlorine can actually kill your thyroid. And what happens is that the body actually looks for iodine, and when it doesn't get the nutrients it needs, it will start absorbing other things in its place, trying to get some nutritional balance. Chlorine looks like iodine in some respects to the body. And you actually absorb more chlorine from taking a hot shower than you do from drinking tap water. Not that I recommend drinking tap water, by the way, because tap water has a whole bunch of other things. Actually, in Chicago, did you know that there are over 200 well, it's probably more by now. Last time I checked, there was over 200 medications, 200 found in Chicago's tap water, because people actually dump these medications like down the toilet, in the garbage. It's not properly disposed of. So it gets into our soil and then it gets into our tap water. And this is actually public knowledge. So you can look on the water department, like Chicago Water Supply Department or whatever. I don't know exact. I can't remember the website, but it's public knowledge. You can actually look it up, and they have to analyze Chicago's water system every so often. So there's over 200 medications, including warfarin. Warfarin was one of them. So, and let's go over warfarin too. Warfarin is a blood thinner. It is actually what's used in all the rat poisons. So when you use like rat or mouse poisons and you use those things, what warfarin actually does is it causes your platelets not to stick together. Okay. So you actually bleed out then, and you do internal bleeding. And that's why I actually like a lot of times when people, so this is a medication that we give to people when they have either blood clots or pulmonary embolism, so a lung clot, or they have what's called AFib, atrial fibrillation. And warfarin causes thinning of the blood. And a lot of times you can actually have internal bleeding. So like people like on warfarin usually typically get their blood drawn every so often, just to make sure that their Coumadin levels or their warfarin levels are within a certain range, so that way their blood doesn't become too thin and they actually bleed out. Well, this is in our Chicago water supply. And so when you take this hot shower, you actually open up your pores and you can absorb all these different medications. Not only that, the chlorine, fluoride is actually also toxic to the thyroid and will kill your thyroid. It stops the thyroid from functioning optimally. So we have all these things. One of the things that I do recommend is getting like a filter on your shower head, or a whole house filter, or like even a whole house reverse osmosis filter, because that is probably the cleanest thing that you can do for your house, is actually getting a reverse osmosis like system for your whole entire house. Or at least like or minimum of getting like a whole house filter, or even like a shower, like a filter that you can put on your shower head. Filters on like your refrigerators and your shower heads, it doesn't remove all of the toxins. It removes, like, I don't know, depending on the shower or like the type of filter that you get, maybe 75, 80%. And it'll even say on the bottle, like how like the percentage, like maybe we'll remove like 75% of medications and extra chemicals or whatever in the water. It's still better than just doing straight tap water. So we also get toxins from like our shampoos, our conditioners, our body lotions, are like the smelly nice stuff that we all like, all the scented things, from Bath and Body Works. All those are actually very, very toxic to the body, and it actually can disrupt our hormones. And most of the time when we put like all the scented stuff, we're putting it like right on the neck, which is where our thyroid is at. We're putting it on our wrists, and this skin is very, very thin here, and we have major arteries and veins, so it can actually get readily absorbed right into the skin, right into our bloodstream. And then that gets transmitted all over our bodies. And our kidneys, our liver, our gut, like all these things have to process this. And these toxins can actually deposit into those areas of the body as well. And then we wonder why we have, thyroid issues, we have gut issues, even cardiovascular issues, or even joint pain and inflammation. And then we wonder why, like, so many people have hormonal imbalances too, because we're adding all these extra toxins and chemicals into our system. And we're getting it from multiple places. It's not just like small here or a small amount here, a small amount there. It's adding up, and it's from all different sources. Some things that you can do, well, first off, what I tell my patients is don't go throwing everything out all at once, because you'll go broke. But as you start like running out of things, replace it with healthier things. So for toothpaste, because I don't recommend like Crest or Colgate, I recommend things like, there's a really good toothpaste, My Magic Mud, I really like. There is Thieves toothpaste from Young Living. There's another one, and I cannot remember off the top of my head. It'll come to me. But one of the other toothpaste that I like, and we just started carrying this in the office, this has actually been clinically proven to reverse things like cavities, depending on how far the cavity is gone too. But Biocidin has some really good different types of, it has a toothpaste for remineralization. It's also got a toothpaste that will help to rebalance the oral, because you do have an oral microbiome. You do need a certain amount of good bacteria in your mouth, and you need a good pH balance, because otherwise your actual mouth is part of your first defense to maintaining health, to breaking down toxins, to start digesting food, to breaking down viruses, bacteria, and things like that. So if your oral health is imbalanced, you actually can get really sick, and you cannot actually process foods very well. So, and when we start adding things like Colgate and Crest or Crest into our mouth, we're adding a whole bunch of chemicals, we're adding a whole bunch of toxins, which can actually throw off our pH balance in our mouth. I like Biocidin. It uses a whole bunch of botanical herbs that will actually help to rebalance, kill off like the bad stuff. But while at the same time, not only does it kill off the bad stuff, but it actually helps to rebalance good microbiome in your mouth. And it actually has been proven to help overall health and gut health too. So they have a really good toothpaste line. So I like Biocidin. And we actually use that in the office. And for that, you actually don't need to be a patient to order those. They have like mouthwashes and things like that. So if you're interested, you can call our office for that. But like I said, otherwise, Thieves toothpaste is really good. My Magic Mud has a really decent toothpaste, just to name a couple that you might be able to find over the counter. But again, so these heavy chemicals are found in everyday products. So things like perfumes, colognes, fragrances, where do we find those? Again, in our body washes, our shampoos, they have been known to cause hormonal disruption, thyroid dysfunction. Okay. Febreze, your Gain, all of these things, scented candles. Who likes scented candles? I used to be addicted to them. Loved it. Loved my scented candles. I did not know that it was contributing to my hormonal imbalances. Yes, they do. And I had really, really, really bad PMS. So these heavy chemicals and these fragrances are horrible for your system. So essential oils, you can find recipes, to make your own essential oil, in soy and beeswax candles and all these other things. And you can do it more naturally too. So, or just use diffusers and you can make your house smell really, really good with essential oils. I typically like pure essential oils. I recommend, Young Living or there's another one, doTERRA, that I really like. You can actually, depending on the brand and depending on, your body, some of these you can internally ingest too, and they can be really good for your health. Now brand is a decent one. I would only use it for diffuser. I would not internally ingest the brand now, but you can use it for the diffuser. But for like medicinal purposes, doTERRA or Young Living is a good brand. So you can use it not only to clean the house, and you can make your own fabric softeners, your own cleaning solutions, and whatnot with these essential oils. So those are the couple things. Heavy chemicals, heavy metals. Really get good at reading your labels, guys. One of the things that I always talk about, and I've talked about this before, is parasites, parasites, parasites. Usually toxins and parasites go hand in hand. Parasites are missed by a lot of traditional Western medicine practices in their testing. Even patients with colonoscopies and things like that, they're being missed. Stool samples and things like that do not always show parasites. You can have, when you send in a stool sample, they're only taking one section and one tiny little speck of a stool sample, and it can be in other areas of the stool sample. So like if you have like a clump, right? Not to sound gross, but if you have a clump and I'm only taking it from like this small section, well, what about the rest of it? Maybe there's not a parasite right in there. Maybe there's no egg in that one section. Not only that, but you can have parasites in other parts of your body, not just in your intestines. It can be in your lungs, it can be in your liver, in your gallbladder, even in joints. And the CDC actually recognizes that you can actually have parasites in cysts. So a lot of times parasites will encapsulate themselves and form cysts. So think breast cysts, kidney cysts, things like that, Baker cysts behind the knee. A lot of these can be parasites. What can you do for these things? So, and how do you get parasites? First off, parasites are found in a lot of different things. Any biting insect can transmit parasites. So, mosquitoes, biting flies are just to name a few. Even there was a video of a hornet, and some guy was pulling out a parasite out of a hornet or a bee. I forgot which. So, if that bee or hornet stings you, guess what? He's also going to sting you and inject the parasite into you. So these are where you can get these parasites from. If you ever swim in a lake or an ocean, this is also where you can get parasites from. Okay, think about it. That lake and ocean, yeah, it's fun to swim in there, but there's a lot of microscopic organisms in there. And they can swim up your nose, they can swim up other open orifices. Not to sound gross or goofy, but yes, if you swallow water, yeah, that can be parasites in there too. If you like to soil dig, and you're gardening, parasites can actually be in the soil too. If you like sushi or undercooked meat, like maybe you like your steaks nice and bloody and rare or medium rare, that's undercooked meat. Okay, parasites can be in that too. Parasites can be found from your pets. Your pets can transmit parasites to you. That doesn't mean get rid of Fido or Fifi. But these are sometimes where we can get parasites from. Lyme disease is also a big problem that oftentimes goes misdiagnosed. And you can still have a negative Lyme test. It doesn't mean that you don't have Lyme disease. So, because you can actually run out of antibodies. So you can have been exposed to the bug that causes Lyme, and then they check for antibodies, and you might not have any more antibodies left because maybe you were exposed a long time ago. You still have the disease, but now you don't have any more antibodies. So your blood test can be negative. A lot of people that we test here show up for Lyme. And once we start handling it, they get better. So things like headaches, muscle weakness, gut issues, thyroid problems, Anybody that has had joint aches and pains, I have never seen somebody without any types of joint aches and pains that had that without having Lyme disease with it. So to me, almost anybody with joint pain always has some sort of Lyme or Lyme co-infection. Where do we get Lyme or Lyme co-infection from? Any biting insect, not just from ticks. Mosquitoes are notorious for transmitting Lyme, but so are spiders, biting flies, and things like that, not just ticks. And you don't have to have the bullseye rash either. That's a lie. So just because you don't have the bullseye rash does not mean that you weren't exposed. Mold is another big one. Mold is another big thing on why we are sick and why your symptoms keep coming back. So mold exposure can be hidden in so many things. It's hidden in your bathroom. A lot of times it can be found in soap dispensers and under your toothpaste, like in your toothbrush carrier, in grout. It can be hidden under carpet, behind walls. And then you have all these mold spores and things like that. Mold is notorious for causing a lot of brain fog, gut issues, respiratory problems, hormonal imbalances, joint pain and inflammation, just to name a few. And food sensitivities is another one. So a lot of times people are eating a whole bunch of foods that are causing inflammation. A lot of times I recommend my patients to have a paleo diet. So grain-free, refined sugar-free. Sometimes not necessarily dairy-free. Depends on the person. But if you're going to do dairy, raw milk is best. Raw cheese is best. So Whole Foods, I know, sells from Europe, like in the brick, Parmesan cheese that is raw and so good. You can get it a lot from small local farmers. But yeah, you don't have to necessarily go dairy free, but refined sugar free definitely is a must. Because a lot of these sugars and a lot of too many carbs will feed bad bacteria, parasites, and candida, which causes, again, inflammation within the body. And remember, our gut is our primary defense. It's needed for good hormonal balance, good for immune system, because your gut has to break down foods. And if you don't have a good pH balance and you don't have a good microbiome in your gut, you cannot break down food and utilize the nutrients. These nutrients are needed for your whole body to function optimally. So we have to make sure that we're feeding our gut properly. And that's getting rid of the starchy foods, doing a low carb, which means low sugar as well. Because remember, all carbs break down to sugar. So higher healthy fats, higher healthy proteins, which means grass-fed and finished meats. So, and making sure antibiotic-free, hormone-free, if you're going to do things like, bacon or whatnot, make sure it's nitrate free, no nitrates, things like that. Try to get, pigs and stuff like that are no antibiotics, no hormones and whatnot. So you want good, healthy foods, higher fat, higher protein. And then if you don't have a gallbladder, if you have gallbladder issues, you say, I can't process healthy fats, we can actually help with that too. So you give some support, even if you don't have a gallbladder. And a lot of people do really, really well with a little bit of support. So I love AF Beta Food from Standard Process. It really helps people out a lot. If you're missing your gallbladder or you have gallbladder issues, that can help out. So these are some of the things that I recommend, and why you feel better when you take supplements and then you don't again, and why it's this yo-yo, because you're not addressing the root cause. You have to address the root cause of why you have your symptoms in the first place. If you're not addressing your root cause, you're not going to feel well. And you're only going to feel well temporarily, and then it's going to come back again. So, because then you're just using the supplements as a Band-Aid. So like your multivitamin, or people who take CBD, or turmeric. Turmeric's great, by the way. Like a lot of these things are great, but you still have to, like, turmeric is really good for pain. Curcumin is really good for pain and inflammation, but you have to address the why. Always ask the question of why. Why do I have pain? And you could say arthritis. Okay, well, why do you have arthritis? A lot of times, heavy metals and toxins mimic arthritis. Lyme disease mimics arthritis and can cause these things. You have to address the underlying cause. And once you do that, and then you use supplements to support the body, that's how you start feeling better. But this is why a lot of people will say, like, well, supplements don't work. That's not necessarily true. It's not that the supplements don't work or they're not good for you or whatnot, but you're still not addressing the root cause. So if you would like to find out more information on how to address the underlying cause of why you have symptoms, why are you, not getting well, why are the doctors not finding answers? Are you being told that it's just in your head? Are you being told your lab work is fine, all the tests are normal, but you have this disease or you have these symptoms and there's no real solution? Or you just keep getting better, then you keep getting worse, then you keep getting better, then you keep getting worse. And it's this back and forth. If you're tired of that and you want real solutions, then give us a call. We have virtual and in-person appointments, and we can help find out the underlying reason of why you have your symptoms. So you can schedule a consultation. So we've been able to help many, many people. The consultation, there's no obligation with the consultation. The consultation is literally so we can get to know you, you can get to know us. You can find out a little bit more, get more in depth of your history, more in depth of what's going on with you. And then we do an analysis on you. And then we find out if this is even a good fit for you. So consultation is no obligation. It is 2 appointments. Each appointment is an hour long. That's 2 hours of professional consultation time. If you have an HSA or FSA account, that will pay for the office visits and the consultation. Normally, those 2 hours of professional consultation time is $250, but for the rest of this month, we're offering it for $149. So that's basically like $75 an appointment. So for 2 hours of professional consultation time. So for $149, if that's something that you would like, or you would like more information just to find out how we can help you, then give us a call, 708-694-4092.